Speaker sir, kindly share the slide 1 of your PPT, please. Dr. Ganesh sir,
Yes, sir.
yeah, kindly share the slide 1 of your PPT, please. Yeah, Dr. Arna madam, kindly make me admin. Doc,
Is it visible now, sir?
yes sir, visible sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Arna madam, kindly make me the host, please.
I request Sirajuddin sir to please respond.
Yes madam. Yes madam.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Yeah madam. Okay.
Your voice
Yeah,
is not audible, sir.
no madam. Okay madam, it's okay. Yeah, now audible madam. Arna madam, now okay.
Yeah, now it is okay, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
madam.
already I made this YouTube live stream link and I sent you in WhatsApp, and I had
Okay, madam.
made you as a host, sir.
Okay madam. Okay. Thank you madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box, your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. I repeat, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box, your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. Sharp at 7:35, we will start the session. Professor Ganesh sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. Sharp at 7:35, we will start the session, last session.
Oh, okay, sure, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, dear participants, welcome to the last session, but not least session of this 5 days event. So, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box, your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. I repeat, dear participants, kindly introduce yourself through chat box, your name, designation, department, college or institute name, city name, etc. So, speaker sir, now it's 7:35. So, say a few lines about yesterday's session and go ahead with today's session, sir. Please.
Okay,
Professor
sir.
Ganesh sir, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. So welcome back, everyone. A very warm welcome again. So yesterday we have discussed what actually research methodology was. So in that we have seen research process and problem identification, what actually research is, what are different types of research that we have seen. What is problem statement, what are different types of problem statement and how we have to identify that we have discussed. Again, we have summarized different contextual, academic level and global context level research statements. We have seen how to frame good research question. We have seen introduction to basic designs and some methods. So what actually were takeaway points from yesterday's session? That we have to start our research with curiosity. Whatever we want to explore, the first question should be why? We have to use different scientific methods to find structured answers. We have seen clear problem statements guide, and we have seen smart technology or smart objective where we said our research should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So whatever research we are going to do, that should be time bounded one. We have also seen ethics while finding out your research, for finding research or preparing our research work. And last statement that I did was research begin with questions, not answers. So whenever we start with any research, it should always start with the question. So today we'll be focusing on these points, that what are advanced research designs, different sampling strategies, instrument design and data collection, how it is done, research ethics and validity, and last, we'll go with some practical activity or real world examples where I'm going to discuss one or two example or case study related to research. While going through this particular presentation, I will also mention the UG, PG and research level statements. So just starting with today's session, it is advanced research design. So what is advanced research design? It contains different these strategies which will having planning of research, especially for academic and applied studies. First one is experimental, then quasi-experimental, longitudinal, and cross-sectional. In case of experimental design, researchers have to manipulate one variable to see its effect on another. For example, if we wanted to test a new teaching method on the student performance using control and experimental group. So if suppose we are going for chalk and board method, and if you have to check how use of ICT or interactive computer technology, use of these ICT tools, how it will affect on student performance, we have to go with experimental research. Second is quasi-experimental design, similar to experimental, but it lack random assignment. So in this, it is useful in social sciences where randomization is not possible. For example, studying policy impact on two different regions. So whatever policy that we are going to identify, we have to check on two different regions. Third one will be longitudinal design. It observes the same subjects over a long period. So same object, same process, we have to just monitor over a longer period. For example, we can say tracking health habits of a group over span of years. And last one, that is cross-sectional. So we have to examine data from a population at a single point in a time. For example, of cross-sectional design will be surveying students' stress level during exam season. So students are facing stress, it's always there. So just that it is a cross-sectional. What actually it means, we are checking the stress level of student during a particular time zone or during exam. For example, a design a mixed method study to explore faculty burnout in engineering colleges. That is a research project or research statement. For PG level, we can go with compare cross-sectional versus longitudinal design to assess mobile usage habits. And in case of UG level, conduct a basic correlational study on study hours versus GPA, that is marks obtained by students. So whatever research design will be there, depend on condition, depend on requirement, this research design will vary. Few researchers will have combination of one or two designs. Just a minute. Okay. Okay. So we're discussing about this. First one, experimental versus quasi-experimental design. So we have to compare these both designs. In case of experimental, randomization is present. In case of quasi-experimental, it is absent. Control group required in case of experimental, where we are focusing on a particular group. In quasi-experimental, may or may not be present. Causality, strong inference. And in case of quasi-experiments, it's moderate one. For example, in case of experimental, lab study on a new drug efficacy. And in case of quasi-experimental, school study on teaching methods in existing classroom. Next comparison will be related to longitudinal versus cross-sectional. So time frame in case of longitudinal, multiple time points. But in case of cross-sectional, we have to go with single point in time. Data flow over time, cross-sectional snapshot. Cost is higher in case of longitudinal design because we have to go with multiple time points, and it is low in case of cross-sectional use case development studies, and here opinion polls or prevalence studies. Example, we can say track changes in mobile usage among college students over 2 years, that is longitudinal, versus surveying current usage habit once, that is cross-sectional. So if you go up for a particular span of period, that will be longitudinal. And if you just consider the present situation, that will be cross-sectional. Next is exploratory, descriptive, explanatory, and correlational designs. So in case of exploratory, what we have to do as a researcher, we have to discover patterns or idea. That will be exactly qualitative analysis. So for example, we can go with interview-based research on new startup trends. Second is descriptive. It describes characteristics of designs. Output will be in case of statistics and graphs. So for example, survey on internet usage in rural areas. Explanatory, as name itself suggests, it will be having explanation. So it is hypothesis testing, impact of time management on academic success. Last one is a correlational. It assesses relationship between your coefficients. So we have to check here correlation, the relation between two or multiple parameters. So for example, study hours versus exam score. So how study hour of each and every student affect on their exam score. Example, first one is correlational study, a relationship between study hours and GPA. I can say marks among third year student. You can take any year student here. Just for example, I'm taking a third year student. So what is here? The design will be correlational one. Tool we have to use your Google Form survey. So we have to just prepare Google Form and we have to share in a group of students so that they will fill, and analysis will be Pearson correlation in Excel or SPSS. That is a tool that we are using for our analysis. Second is post-graduation level example, that is cross-sectional versus longitudinal approach to assess mobile phone usage. So cross-sectional, one-time survey of 300 students. One time means current time or current time span we can consider. Longitudinal, follow a smaller cohort every 6 months for 2 years. Means you have to identify one particular group and we have to assess or monitor that particular group. Every 6 months we'll take its review and that will be go on certain time period. We can say here 2 years. Just a simple example. So discussion will be trade-offs in reliability, effort and generalizability. So last one for PhD research scholars, it is a mixed method design which is combination of all. Understanding faculty burnout in engineering colleges, quantitative phase, where we have to survey 200 faculty. So that shows the number. Qualitative phase, we have to conduct in-depth interviews with 15 faculty members. Design justification explains both extent, quantitative and experience, that is quality. Means extent will give number of faculty members and experience will give qualitative analysis. So research design will be explanatory, sequential. It will be combination of both. Next, we have to go with sampling strategy. So what actually sampling strategy is? So whenever we are going for research, so next most important thing will be sampling of data or whatever results we are getting. So researchers select individual or groups from a population to represent the whole. So it consists of probability. It again differentiated between simple random, stratified and cluster sampling. Then non-probability, which will consist of convenient sampling, judgmental sampling and snowball sampling method. And third point in sampling strategy will be sample size estimation, that is coherence formula. So using coherence formula, we can find out what we should be our sample size while finding out any research. For example, a PG student researching stress among college students with sampling method should be used if the researcher has no access to a student list. So there I'm giving one particular example that a PG student as his research is going to work on stress among college students. He want to go with sampling method, but what is the problem? He's not getting access to the college students. So college is not allowing him to meet directly students to go with different review. So for that, what is the question? In which way he should go for? So for that answer will be your snowball sampling. So what actually snowball sampling? In snowball sampling, the researcher should go with some group of student or few group of students, 4 to 5 students or 10 students. Then for each student, we have to encourage them to go with multiple students. So each student, if it is he or she going for 5 or 10 students, then that will be 5 to 10, 50. So that will be our snowball sampling. These are different sampling methods. In case of probability, simple random sampling. Every member has an equal chance in simple random sampling. Means if suppose there are 5 people and if we are going for survey, then each and every person will be given chance. That is every member has an equal chance. So lottery method to select 50 students from 500. Second, stratified sampling. So we have to divide population into subgroups that we can say as a strata. And we have to take one sample from each. So whenever we are going to go with the subgroups, the subgroups should have, each subgroup will have similar characteristics. So sample 30 students from each branch. So if you consider a particular college and student behavior in that college, then we can go with different branches. Each branch is having a fixed intake. So out of each branch, we will get some selected students. So next one will be cluster sampling. So divide population into clusters, randomly select cluster and select 5 colleges and study all students in those colleges. If suppose I am having a scenario where I'm getting 10 to 15 colleges, out of that, we'll just randomly choose any 5 colleges, and from that 5 colleges, we'll take students for our study purpose. Next, non-probability sampling. There are again 3 different types: convenience sampling, judgmental sampling, and snowball sampling, as I earlier said. In case of convenience sampling, based on availability. If suppose we are working on a group of students, if students are available, then and then only we can go for that sampling. So for example, survey students in your own class, depend on again requirement. Second, judgmental sampling. Based on researcher choice, select only students who are high performers. If suppose you have to work on the students who are having high IQ, high intellectual, then we can go with just the student who are having high performance in that particular exam. So that is again researcher choice, that where first we are going with fun judgment and judgmental sampling. Next will be snowball sampling. So participant recruit others. What I said about snowball sampling previously, there is one candidate who have to work on a student's data, but college is not allowing him to interact with student. So what he will do first, he will just select randomly 4 to 5 students first. He will give Google form. He will share that Google form to that 4 or 5 students. 4 and 5 students will first fill that data, and the researcher will encourage these students to share that form to their friends. So whenever there is no possibility of direct interaction of group of people, then we have to use always snowball sampling. So study drug use among students where subjects are hard to reach. Now see, if our case study is like use of among students, then no student will directly come and accept that he's using drug. So what is the main thing? We have to go with snowball sampling. So first we'll identify one or two people, to 1 or 2 students, then we will encourage them to identify their friends. Next is sample size estimation. As I said, we have to go with sample size. So if you are going to collect different data set, already we have given some example that 15 people, 20 people, 30 people. Then when you go with research, we have one particular formula of coherent formula, that is n0 equal to z square into p1 minus p by e square, where n0 represents sample size, that is the output. Z score 1.96 for 95% confidence. P estimated proportion of population, and E margin of error. So E is in denominator. If margin of error is changed, obviously the N0, that is sample size, is going to change. So changing the confidence level or margin of error affects required sample size. So depend on condition, depend on requirement, depend on availability of student, we can find out the sample size. For example, first one, now just check the scenario for UG level example. Surveying hostel students about food quality using convenience sampling, those available in mess. So for convenience sampling, what we have to do, it is again conveniently we have to identify the student, those who are living in hostel and they are getting benefited with the mess. That is first one. Second, stratified sampling for students from UG and PG across departments for feedback on online learning. So as we have seen, most of the time there are online learning or online courses. So there should be some stratified. We have to find out some strata from the student from UG and PG across different departments, and from them we have to collect this feedback. Again, obviously we are using here Google Forms or any other printed form. We can go as per our availability. Third scenario is for PhD students, that is cluster sampling across 5 engineering institutes to study faculty perspective on NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020. So for that, we have to go and visit each and every institute. We have to take permission and we have to meet with faculty. We have to share our form, either it may be online or offline, we can get the data. Next is instrument design and data collection. So this instrument design and data collection will consist of these many components. So main goal will be we have to gather data accurately. That is instrument design and data collection. So whenever we are going for any research, most important thing is on which data set we are working, and whatever data we are getting, that should be accurate. If suppose you are working on effect of use of mobile on student performance in exam, then whichever information we are getting that students are using mobile for 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours, if that information is perfectly right, accurate, then and then only we can correlate it with their marks, right? So first thing will be questionnaire. So it is structured with closed-ended or open-ended questions. We'll just see one by one. Second is validity and reliability. Third one is interview and focus groups. So first, designing a questionnaire. How to design a questionnaire? First is a Likert scale, measures attitude or perception on a scale from 1 to 5. So for example, if I ask one question, I'm satisfied with online classes. So there will be a rating of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I say strongly disagree is 1, then going on increasing 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 will be strongly agree. So what we'll do, we'll just uh, prepare one questionnaire giving marks from 1 to 5, and we'll ask the group of people to give values from 1 to 5. So 1 will represent strongly disagree and 5 will represent strongly agree. First, we will tell or inform the group of people that these are the marking scale, these are the scale, and on this scale, they have to give. What is this Likert scale design? A Likert scale is a popular survey tool used in research to measure people's opinion. So what actually this scale is having? This scale will show different response option. Now, if I say 1 to 5, strongly disagree to strongly agree. If I say 1 is for strongly disagree, second will be disagree, third will be neutral, fourth will be agree, and fifth will be strongly agree. So depend on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whichever value we are getting, we can just identify the data. Second is semantical differential, opposite adjectives on a scale. So suppose I am saying class environment is chaotic or organized. So whichever two options we are saying, that will be totally opposite to each other. That is semantic differential. And third will be dichotomous. There we are going only two options that we can say as a binary. So do you use online resources regularly? Either yes or no. Don't say probable or sometimes like that. Either you have to say yes or no. That will be directly dichotomous. So it will having only two options, either positive or negative, either 0 or 1, either yes or no. Next is interview and focus, interview versus focus group. So in case of interview, in-depth individual insight needed. So these interviews will be again in group or individual face-to-face interviews. And in case of focus group, group opinion discussion needed. So we can go with group discussion or some debate like things. So as there are two different interview and focus group, these are having their advantage, disadvantage. In case of interview, what are pros? It is detailed one and it is having personal face-to-face relation. And what will be the con? If suppose there is group of people, 10 or 20 people, then discussing with each and everyone individually will take time. So obviously it will be time consuming. But in case of focus or group interview or group discussion, that will be shorter one. And what is will be advantage of focus group? It's interactive and having rich dialogue. Next is validity and reliability basics. So validity, does the tool measure what it's supposed to measure? So we have to check whether whatever thing we are going to ask that is valid. Type will be content, construct criteria. For example, a math test with only verbal question lack content availability. Suppose if I have to ask for, we have to check ability of mathematics from the student, and if you are asking just simple theoretical question, then it will be of no use. So whatever tool we are using, that should be valid one. And reliability, is the tool consistent in its result? Test, retest, internal consistency. So what is reliability? A questionnaire yielding same results under same condition. If suppose we are going for one questionnaire and asking student today, it is giving some results. So the questionnaire should be such that or which the tool that we are using should be such that that should be consistent over time. So it should give the same result, and the getting result should be always consistent one. So last will be instrument calibration, that is quantitative. For quantitative analysis, whatever instrument we are using, that should be calibrated. It ensures precision and accuracy in data collection tools. For example, pH meter, digital thermometer, ECG, logic analyzer. Now these are again quantitative analysis. If suppose I have to work on ECG, that is electrocardiogram, that is a heart signal. So for that, for acquiring that ECG, we have to use different electrodes. So whichever electrodes we are going to use, that should be always calibrated. What actually calibration mean? Calibration means we have to check its precision and accuracy. So if our devices that we are using, device or tools that we are using for our data collection are precise and accurate, then and then only our results will be accurate. If while collecting data only we are giving some error, imprecision or inaccurate results are there, then obviously our research will be of no use. So calibration comparing with the standard known values, what actually calibration is? Calibration means nothing but we have to compare our tools with standard tools. So whenever we are going for any research, any tool, always there is some standard. We have to compare it with that standard and then we can calibrate our own thing. So for PhD, it is most important thing that whatever results we are giving, that should be precise and correct one. So for PhD and post-graduation, we have to find out, we have to follow different ISO or IEEE standards. So what is research ethics and validity? It gives ethical principles in the research, internal validity and external validity. So what actually these are? As I said, during research, we have to follow ethics and we have to gain some trust. So for ethical principle in research, what is needed? We have to take consent from the participant. Participant know their rights. So whatever we are doing, whatever information we are taking from participant should be aware with that which information we are taking and where we are using that information. Second, confidentiality. If suppose there is some precise problem or precise issue that we have to discuss, then whichever information we are getting from the participant, that should be always confidential. That should be used only for your research use. And plagiarism, most important thing in today's research, plagiarism means whatever research we are writing, whatever content we are writing, that content should be always different from the existing one. So depend on publication or depend on different journals, there are criteria that the plagiarism will be 5%, 10%, 2%, 6%, 10%, like that. Your plagiarism should always be reduced. So whenever you are going for any thesis submission or research dissertation submission, university is also defining some rule that the plagiarism should be always 5 to 10%. So one most important thing I want to suggest about plagiarism, never go for any free software to check your plagiarism online, because though your work is 100% integrate or your own work, if you upload it on any online free devices or free tool, then your next integrity will be lost, and whichever things are there, your plagiarism will directly go with 100%. So always go with university suggested tools for checking plagiarism. It may be Turnitin or many other things are there. Just go with license copy and use that for plagiarism checking. Next is internal validity and external validity. In case of internal validity, we have to control of co-founding variables within the study, and external validity, whether findings can be generalized beyond the sample. For example, discussing the ethical issues if a researcher fabricates data to match their hypothesis. So here we can go with this ethical principle. So as I said, in case of informed consent, participant must be fully informed about the purpose of research, procedures involved, potential risk, and their rights. So what we can say, if a particular participant is going to participate in our survey, then he should have right that at some point, if you want to get out of this particular survey, then he should have that right of withdrawing his opinion. So ethical principle, respect for participant, data privacy and originality. For example, using consent forms, security data and citing sources. So as I said in ethics, if you are using some another person work or information, then we have to cite using proper way. Internal validity, that is accuracy within the study. It refers the extent to which the study is free from biases or co-founding variables
PhD करेगी तू
that could
how to
distort the
write
true
a
relation
PhD
between
proposal.
variables. And in case of external validity, internal validity controlling co-founding factor, that is example in case of external validity, applicability to broader context. So concerns whether results of the research can be generalized to other population settings or times. Means whatever results we are saying for a group of people or group of students of one college, that should be generalized to other college also. So that should be also valid for other popularity. So as I said from yesterday, I'm telling about or focusing about ethical. So what happens if you don't follow these ethics? So one most important thing, that ethical issue, what actually happens? First is ethical breach. So what do you mean by breach? We have to violation of honesty and integrity. If I am working on a medical data set and if I got or if I given a consent that I will not use the confidentiality or patient name, and if I am disclosing the name, then I am violating the rule. So most important problem while dealing with such critical issues. So first is violation of honesty and integrity. It misleads other researcher, policymakers, and the public, and wastes resources and potentiality leads to ineffective or harmful policies. Second, relationship, impact on validity. That external validity is meaningless because the conclusions are based on false data. They cannot be generalized. And what will be consequences of this ethical misuse? Consequences will be, first most important thing, retraction of publications. So whichever publications you already published, that will be withdrawn as you are not following your ethics. Second one, damage to researcher reputation and institution. If you're working under any institution as a research scholar, as an employee, if you violate the rules, then that is damage to researcher reputation. Once it is damaged, then it is always damaged. And last one, erosion of public trust in research. So if we say if you are working on a particular disease and if we are violating rules, then people will not participate in next research. So there will be erosion of public trust in research. So they will never trust on the researchers. Next point will be practical activities and real world example. So first case study. First point will be case studies to apply sampling and design concept. So objective is we have to help practice choosing the right sampling strategy for a given scenario, and depend on that we have to find out research design. So first we are giving a present scenario. What is scenario? A university wants to study the impact of online learning on student engagement. So what is the question? A university wants to study the impact of online learning on student engagement. So what will be the different probable question? What is the population of interest? Which sampling technique is most appropriate, and what research design suit the question? So out of our participants, can anyone answer these questions? What is my scenario? A university wants to study the impact of online learning on student engagement. What is my first question? What is the population of interest? Anyone can tell? If you want, you can just unmute, or if you can just type in chat box. These are practical examples where what we are going to check, the thought process of the participants. Anyone? So first example is university wants to study the impact of online learning on student engagement. So what is the population of interest? As university will be having different students, and what actually our research problem is? Our research problem is we have to find out impact of online learning on student engagement. So most important thing, the population of interest will be obviously students. So where students are enrolled in university, they are the population of interest. So we are investigating student engagement. So the relevant population includes students currently participating online courses across various departments and academic. And where students are there, if suppose there are thousands of students, then which students we have to take or we have to make them participate? The students, those are only undertaking the online courses. So they may be from undergraduate, postgraduate, or research level. That doesn't matter because we are not going to mention any level. So straightforward question is university. We have to just think on the student and their engagement in study or their performance study based on online learning. Second question will be which sampling technique is most appropriate? Depend on again condition. As university, students are enrolled in university, then students will be available. So there is no need of any snowball sampling. So for this, we have to go with stratified random sampling. So how we can justify this answer that we have to go with stratified sampling to ensure representative coverage of different subgroups such as undergraduate, postgraduate. Now suppose there is a university, there are different levels of courses, either maybe diploma, undergraduate, or postgraduate students. Again, in that there will be different branches, different years, so we cannot take each and every student. So for that, what we have to do, we have to make a group of different students of different branch, different year, or different level, either it may be UG, diploma, or postgraduate. So to ensure representative coverage of different subgroup, we have to first divide into strata as an undergraduate and postgraduate student. Then we can go with different academic disciplines. Suppose as it is a university, there may be engineering, there should be medical, there should be MBA, law, or PUC college, whatever may be the college there. So what we have to do, instead of focusing on just engineering colleges or medical colleges, we can go with different colleges. So another strata or another subgroup will be of different academic disciplines, engineering, humanities, sciences, like that we have to divide. Then we will thought of the students who are there full time and part time. If there is a PG or PhD, then there are two categories. Students will be either full time or part time, or few university are also giving, open university are also giving you full time or part time admission. So next strata will be that is students who are engaging there in full time courses and part time courses. So what is the actual sampling here? Or which tool or which methodology we are going to use here? We have to go with stratified random sampling. What research design suit the question? So before going to that, what I will just tell about is stratified sampling. So stratified sampling helps avoid bias due to uneven representation and ensure that engagement levels are compared across relevant strata, making findings more generalizable within the university contents. Suppose there are engineering students, and if we focus on just engineering student, the result getting from engineering student can be different from medical student or other science student. So for that, we are dividing our population, interest population in different subgroups or substrata, and we are using selecting random people from random groups. From each group, we are taking some selected people so that whatever design answer, whatever research outputs will be there, that will be stratified. So what is my last question? What research design suits the question? So we can say correlational design or quasi-experimental design, that already we have seen experimental, quasi-experimental, correlational, that we have seen. So here we can say either correlational or quasi-experimental. Why? Because since we are examining the impact of online learning on engagement of student study, a correlation design can establish if there is a relationship between time spent in online learning and level of engagement. If there is relation, so first most important thing, as question itself suggests, we have to check relation between online learning and student performance. So first important thing will be correlational design. So for that, we have to go with tools of surveying, where we will get data from your Google form and we can go with analysis of that data. From more rigorous insight, we have to go with quasi-experimental design, where comparing engagement between who opted for fully online versus blending learning approaches without random assignment. So there are again two approaches which are fully online or blended one. So normally in day-to-day life, what is learning strategy now? Now learning strategy is fully offline. Students are coming into class and they are appearing for the exam. Second is fully online, that are just online through classes and learning. So that is second thing. So comparing engagement between students who opted for fully online versus blended learning approach without random assignment. An experimental design would be ideal, but is often impractical in educational settings. So second example is a scenario. A university wants to study the impact of online learning on student engagement. So as we said, population, sampling technique, research design. Online learning student, they directly experience the online mode. Sampling technique, stratified random sampling. Ensure representation across courses or levels, different courses, different categories. So research design will be correlation of quasi experimental, that is choice, and why it is used, because it suits measuring relationship or comparing groups where random assignment is not feasible. So second scenario is workplace stress in IT employees. So as there are IT employee, IT we can say, again software employees. So whether there is a workplace stress, that we have to check. So here we are going to check how to sample or how to design a sample question for our questionnaires and which tools we have to use here. Now, before proceeding further, first we'll see what is our statement. It is workplace stress in IT employees. So we have to design different survey questions. From this survey question, we should get exact answers. But whenever we are going to go with survey questions in Google form, which are questions we are going to ask, that question should always ensure clarity and relevance. We have to avoid leading or biased questions. So for example, we cannot directly ask how stressful is your unreasonable workload. So already we are making the person feel that he's working in pressurized environment, and then we are asking how stressful it is. So instead of that, what will be our simple question? How would you rate your current workload? So simple straightforward question where the person, the participant will get to know that what I want to, as a researcher, what I need the data and in which way I need the data. If person is really satisfied, he will give same answer. If he's not satisfied, he will give another answer. But while asking question only, if we are saying that how stressful is your unreasonable workload, then that go with biased one. Biased one means we are forcing him to tell that whichever activity or whichever workload he's having, it is always stressful. So we cannot go with such biased question. So always we have to use unbiased questions which are clear and relevant one. So we have to check validity and reliability consideration also. So what we can do, we can go with mix of question types. So as I said earlier, there are two different types of questions, close-ended questions and open-ended question. In case of close-ended question, again, there is a Likert scale where we have to ask question on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 to 10, like that, no issue. So that scale is fixed one or bounded one. So answer will not be something different from these 5 or 10 scales. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you experience tight deadlines? So as it is IT industry, there will be deadlines. So instead of asking whether you meet your deadlines, what we can say, as your deadlines are a tight one, having time limit. So simple question will be on a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you experience tight deadlines? And what we'll do, 1 to 5 will give their rating. So 1, very unsatisfied. second will be unsatisfied, third will be neutral, fourth will be satisfied, and fifth will be very satisfied. So out of 1 to 5, if he's giving 5, then we can say whichever deadlines he is following, he is satisfied with that deadline. If he's giving 3, then he is neutral. He don't want to tell his opinion about that thing. So second question will be rate your satisfaction with work-life balance. And again, we have to go with 1 to 5 scale. So this is close-ended questions where the participant will not have any different option other than that we have given. So that is nothing but your Likert scale where we are giving the values or the options from scale of 1 to 5. This scale you can also change. Here I'm using 1 for very unsatisfied and 5 for very satisfied. You can interchange also that 5 will be very unsatisfied, 1 will be very satisfied. So like that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it will go on decrease. Second thing will be open-ended questions. Close-ended already closed, so they have no any different answer there. So in case of open-ended question, the question will be, what are the primary causes of stress in your job? This answer will vary from participant to participant. So depend on personal experience, this answer will be changed. What strategies help you manage stress at work? So each person is having different stress, different work-life balance, different strategy. So you will have different answer for this question. So as your questionnaire will have different questions, it is nothing but your open-ended question. So if you went through some Google form, so there are different questions and each question is having different answering style. So there will be some MCQ based questions where we have to select 1 out of 4. There are some questions which will be having multiple answers. So the person can select 1, 2, 3, or 4, all answer he can select. There will be some short paragraph answer, long paragraph answer. So in case of open-ended question, we have to go with that short paragraph or long paragraph answers so that we can get unbiased answers. So we have to check validity and reliability consideration for this particular thing. So content validity. So we have to ensure questions comprehensively cover various stress dimensions, workload, management support, role clarity. So before studying this IT industry stress, we have to understand first thing that what is the stress, what is the reason of getting stress. So we can say there are different things that will be workload, management support, role clarity. Means suppose a person is hired, if you don't know what actually role he is going to do, then he will be confused one and that will result in stress. Again, workload, how much workload he is doing in 5 to 6 hours time in daily, and what is management support, whatever he or she is working, whether management is supporting that. Just I'm going with some few examples. So during interview or during survey, you will understand the actual reasons of stress. So person to person, this reason will be different. Second, construct validity. Align questions with established theories or frameworks on workplace stress. For example, job demand control model. So depend on whatever content we are finding out, depend on that we have to construct our validity and our question or questionnaire should be depend on that. Reliability. So we have to test internal consistency using Cronbach alpha to ensure the scale is reliable. A whatever value we'll get using that tool, if it is greater than 0.7, then we can say it is acceptable. So for this, we have to go with different tool. So which are that tools? First, Google Forms or type forms to create and distribute the questionnaire quickly. And SPSS and Jamovi, these are two different tools that is used to check reliability analysis and factor analysis. So just I will go with these tools. So what is SPSS tool and Jamovi tools? SPSS, it is professional grade. It is having license 1 used in academia and industry, comprehensive statistical capabilities. Jamovi tool is a free open source. As it is a free to use to everyone, it is known as open source, suitable for student, easy to learn, visually appealing output. So what are different steps for getting these values? As I said, that is reliability analysis and factor analysis. There is no need of any formula. These tools itself are having the parameters or facility. So what you do, whatever data set we are taking, we have to just import data in SPSS or Jamoi, both apps. We can just open the data set. In that, we have to go with analyze, scale, and reliability analysis in case of SPSS or Jamoi. And we have to use alpha model. So which value we will get, depend on that value, we have to identify. So this alpha value will always range from 0 to 1. If this value is greater than 0.7, then we represent that acceptable internal consistency. So whatever answer that we are satisfied. So depend on value of this alpha, your result gets matters and your accuracy get changed. So before proceeding further, I just want to tell about the reliability analysis, that is Converge alpha. It is used to check how consistently a set of survey items measures a single construct like stretch. So value of this alpha ranges from 0 to 1. For example, if your stress scale has 10 items about workload, deadlines, and work-life balance, then alpha tells you whether these items reliably measure workplace stress. So what we actually said, we have to design survey, then we have to collect data, and this data collection should be went through different Excel or CSV files, and we have to go with different Google form or whatever, whichever data we are going to obtain, that is downloaded as a CSV file. And using different tools like SPSS or Jamovi, we have to just analyze these data. What actually SPSS is, that is statistical package for the social sciences. It is paid one. It is of IBM. And purpose of this tool is a powerful and widely used tool for statistical analysis, data management, and data visualization. So as it is not free, so we can download it from the website from Google. So it will just give a limited facilities as it is a paid one, but in case of Jamo, it is unpaid free, so you can use it for full. So Jamo is again a free open source statistical software, but what is the main thing of Jamo? For that we have to use R programming. So if you know about R programming, then you can use that language for statistical computing. So this open source software or tool will provide user-friendly point and click interface for statistical analysis similar to SPSS, but just the major difference between these two is it is free of cost. So before going to what actually we have covered, I would like to just show one PDF where I have enlisted different tools. Okay. These are advanced AI tools for research methodology. These are different tools. First one is Elicit. It helps design.
फुल आवाज रखी हूँ मुंह आवाज ही नहीं आ रही इसका बेचारे की
Helps design questions, find papers, extract method. It is AI driven, literature review and summarization that are AI features. And it is free of cost, and link will be illicit.org that we can directly find out on Google. Second is a site. It shows how articles are cited, supporting, contrasting, mentioning, and what are its features, citation
ये क्या है?
classification using AI.
तुम तो सुन देखना
So it is
पढ़ो क्या है
not free. It is having license, but some features can be used as a free sources. So we have only limited facility to use this. Next is Research Rabbit, as Dr. Jia has
सच्चा
already said.
सच्चा
It
है
gives
वो
visual graph of related papers.
अच्छा
सच्चा
Participant, just please mute.
तो जी होता है ना सच्चा
टीम
So Research Rabbit, it is used for visual graph of related papers. So what is AI feature it is having? It is AI suggested connection and alerts. It is free of cost. It maps. It is research timeline visualization. So what is use of AI here? AI discovers forward backward citations. It is again limited. So as it is limited, it is not free. If I say there as then it is a free version. So you can use fully. Next is Semantic Scholar. It is a search engine for scholarly papers where we can identify, we can search our papers related to our domain. So what AI do here? AI extracts key points and citation context. Next is connected papers, visual map of related research. If suppose I am going to work on biomedical research, then these connected papers will give, if I put the topic, it will give related papers, the papers that are related to our work. So AI-based semantic linking of papers, AI will help to link papers depend on our work or methodology. It is again free of cost. Science-based Copilot, it explains complex academic papers. What AI will do, AI will explain figures, equations, and paragraphs in easier format. Tinka AI, it is for grammar, academic tone checker. So most important thing while writing a paper or a research or a thesis, it should be always grammatically perfect. So Tinka AI will give grammar check. So AI trained on academic writing. This AI will automate the checking, and whichever grammar mistakes are there, it will be autocorrect. Grammarly is also there, but it's not free of cost. We can use it for limited version. So only subscribe user will have full features in case of Grammarly. Next is Quillbot, paraphrasing, summarizing tool, AI for rewriting, summarizing in various tones. Again, it is limited one. Explain paper, it explain upload PDF. If you have a particular PDF, then we can upload on that explain paper website. So AI will simplify technical jargon. Means if suppose there are different technical terms that we don't know, so AI will help to understand that technical terms in more easier way. So paper file AI, that is beta, summarizes and organizes research papers. AI for annotation and idea extraction. Again, it is limited one. Chat GPT, that is OpenAI. It research help, summarization, idea generation. So AI features conversational AI, GPT-4, GPT 3.5. So basic free, paid plus, that is again the chat GPT, most of the people are using the same thing. Next one is Otter.ai, transcription of interviews, AI for real-time speech to text. So if you have a particular YouTube video, then that YouTube video link, if you give here, it will just transcribe the all video in simple language. So there is no need of listening 2 or 3 hours video. All that 2 or 3 hours video, AI is having that capability that 2 to 3 hours video is converted into just simple summary of 2 to 3 pages. Then is size-based journal finder, where we can upload our abstract, and depend on abstract quality, abstract result, and the methodology we have used, it will just give us proper journal where we should be submit our journals. Because whenever we are applying for any journal publication, there is again possibility of losing our integrity. So always go with proper journals that are having high impact factor. So we can go with quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3 factor journals, so that are more integrate and authenticate one. And last one is plagiarism checking, that is Turnitin or Authenticate, or there are different tools that are required for plagiarism checking. This plagiarism checking software, either individual can have it or institution will be having subscription, or if you are working any renowned university, then university is also having subscription to this. So whenever we want to publish paper anywhere, or we have to check plagiarism of our paper, always use the authenticated and licensed plagiarism software only. So AI compare contents to global database, and while comparing this plagiarism, always go through some settings, because there are different settings for plagiarism. So in plagiarism, we have to set whether it will go with 5 words, 3 words, 4 words, or 10 words. So if 2 words are similar back to back, then it will act as a plagiarism. So that all things we have to identify or think of that. And many researchers, or most of the researchers, will avoid references, because references are already cited somewhere. So in plagiarism, it is always counted. So while checking your plagiarism, always make your references as an exceptional thing. And one most important thing I would like to tell about ChatGPT, whenever we search anything on ChatGPT, there is a one warning below, that whichever information is given by ChatGPT is not always true 100%. So just use this ChatGPT to get information, and whichever information you are extracting, just find out whether it is logically true or not, then and then only use it for our research purpose. So these are different tools and link that we can use for our research methodology. Just a minute. So our last point will be okay. What actually we covered today? We have learned what are different sampling techniques, what are different methodology, and how research should be done, and what are different tools for finding out the data set, what should be credibility. So first important thing, our research question type, what versus how versus why. What should be our question? How should be our question, and why should be our that question? We went for different tools, sampling and all. Then depend on the criteria, depend on the requirement, we have to use that sampling. Then we have seen about data accessibility, how to access data, and depend on whether we are having access to direct the population or group of students or group of people that we are interested in, then depend on that we can go with different sampling process. We have seen practical constraint in research. Research should be always ethically bounded. Again, it is time bounded, and whichever research we are going to do, that should be always having a particular scope. So what is our goal? Theory development, system improvement, or policy guidance that we have to go with. What is conclusion? Every method has its place. There is no one size fits all. So if suppose one of my friend is working on particular data set and is using one methodology, then it doesn't says that the same methodology will be working for my research or my data set. So every method has its place. So for your research, you have to select your own tool or own methodology or own way of sampling and own way of finding out question that will make your research more strength. As a future researchers, your job is to be curious, critical, and creative. Always be curious. As I said earlier, our research start with the question, not with the answer. If our question is perfect one, question is right one, research is going to lead in particular way. So we have to use the tools and strategies discussed today to refine our research process. And remember, good research doesn't answer question, it asks better ones. So whenever you are going to research, your research will give some results, but your research at the end should arise some different question, and that question will be that question should be the helpful for another research as a research problem statement. So advanced research is not about memorizing methods, it's about choosing what fits our question best. Keep questioning and keep refining. Thank you very much. So this is all about our research methodology, what actually research is.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay,
Dear
thank you, sir.
participants, as the speaker said, sir rightly said, the session is open for discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. I repeat, dear participants, the session is open for discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics.
Is there any question related to your research work?
Yeah, any doubt, any question, any clarification?
Obviously, it is not expected to reveal your research here. because research work is again integrable one. So till you does not submit your synopsis, it's not good to announce your research statement. So better you can ask related to that, no issue. Because if you are working on particular research and if you announce it today, after 10 days, it will be research of another person.
You can ask, dear participants, you can ask question from today's session or yesterday's session. Professor Ganesh sir will be there to answer your questions. Professor Ganesh sir, can you recap the entire session in few lines with the help of PPT?
Okay, sir.
Only
So,
5 minutes, sir. 5 minutes.
okay.
Within 5
So
minutes.
from yesterday only, we are discussing about research. What should be the research and what should be different types of research we have seen. Then we have seen how to frame a particular question or problem statement, and we have seen introduced some basic design and methods. So today we have discussed what actually research methodology is. First important thing, that advanced research design that can be experimental, quasi-experimental, longitudinal, and cross-sectional. So depend on requirement, depend on our research, depend on our area of interest and the people or the group of people on which we are working. This design will be varied. We have seen difference between these all. We have seen different examples related to that, which are comparative design, mixed method design. So as it is a UG level, we can go with simple sampling. In case of PG, we'll go with stratified sampling. In case of PhD level, we have to go with mix of both. It's not mandatory that we have to go with compulsory sampling in each and every research. Again, I am saying, depend on research, depend on your area of work, area of interest, this methodology are going to change. So different probability sampling we have seen. So if you have to think about sample size, we have this formula of Cohen formula that we have to use. We also seen different instrument design and data collection. So what actually data collection is? Data collection means we have to acquire data that is related to our research. So for that, we have to design our instrument or a tool. So for that, we need this all, that how to prepare questionnaire that we have seen, and that should be valid one, reliable one. And for that, we have to either go with interview or focus on groups. Again, it depend on our requirement, our feasibility, and surrounding condition. So questionnaire, and again I said one tool of Likert scale. So what this Likert scale will give? Likert scale, whatever questionnaire we are preparing, that should be always on the scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, depend on our requirement. And in 1 to 5 scale, we will go with strongly disagree to strongly agree. So from worst to best one. So there will be total 5. And as I already said, as there is a skill, that will be closed-ended question. So the person who is or participant, those who they are getting participated in our review, they will to have only answer the question from that 5 things. So we have seen this validity, instrument calibration, and one most important thing, if are working on any hardware tool, it may be biomedical or it may be some sensors for thermometer and all, whichever instrument that we are using, that should be always calibrated and compared with standard one. We have seen research ethics and validity. As I already said from yesterday, I am saying about ethics, that is plagiarism, again confidentiality, and again the respect or originality of or privacy of our research. Make sure research, if it is delayed, it's okay, but make sure whichever research you are doing, that is always loyal one, private one, and originality. So there should not be any ethical misuse, so that it will be your integrable one. But if there is any breach or any violation of any rule, then it is again problematic to that researcher as well as that institute one. And though your research papers are published somewhere, if you are violating rule, then that publications will be automatically withdrawn. So there will not be any use. So it's better to make delay, but never compromise on ethics. So we have seen different real world examples. First one that we have seen, a university having number of students, and The university want to study the impact of online learning on student performance. And second one we have seen, that is the workplace stress in IT employees. As we generalize, I just took two examples. There are n number of examples we can think about or we can discuss about. So as I already said, closed-ended question, open-ended question, we have to check validity, content validity, construct validity, and we have to check reliability. I have shown different tools that we can use online. Out of which few are free of cost, that will give all the facilities, but few are having license one, that we are paid one, that we have to take it subscription. If not subscription, at least we will use for limited thing. So if you check the chat gpt, if you are going to upload multiple images, it will answer or it will give facility for a few images, but once that limit is completed, it will say that your today's limit is over, you can just start from tomorrow. So these are different points that we have covered. And lastly, what I said, every method has its place. So if you or your group of friends are doing research in different fields, if your friend is using one methodology for his research, it may not be suitable for you. So every method has its place. So for your research, you have to check different methodology, you have to search, and which methodology will give better result, you only know. So you can decide your own way of finding out question and methodology. As a future researcher, we have to be curious, critical, and creative. So we have to just ask three questions: what, why, and how. If you are clear with these three questions with your research problem, then your research will be more easier. So as lastly, I will say, good research doesn't just answer question, it asks better ones. And one thing I also said, that whenever our research is completed, that research will give obviously some conclusion, but it will provide a platform to next new researcher to work on next research. This is all about today's session. And I say it about 5 days. FDP depend on literature review, research methodology, conclusion, and references.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. So, dear participants, the session is once again open for the discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. I repeat, I repeat, dear participants, the session is open for discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. Any doubt, any question?
Okay, I will share PPT. Sir will share PPT, no issue.
Sir, there is one question.
Okay, one question is there. What are best components for doing computer science research? Again, as I said, first make sure what is your actual problem that you are going to work. Computer science means there are n number of problems. Again, computer science, either it may be software design, or again you are working for some app. Depend on that, we have to go with that. So what is main thing? First, we have to go with clear research problem. Make sure your research problem is clear. Once your research problem is clear, depend on that, we can go with different methodology. There are a number of different methodology that you have to work, and different programming languages also there. So depend on your research problem statement, we can proceed for the research. So Manisha ma'am have asked one question. Sir, can you please tell me that the comparison between case and control come under which type of study? Ma'am, it is related to what? In what context you are using? If you want, you can just write their message. in human sample. Okay, so it may be having healthcare related. Okay, it should be observational study. And we can also say retrospective study where we have to make again groups. So case group and control group. So we have to identify different factors
वो इसमें आता
that may explain difference in outcomes. So
Hmm.
for that, whatever data collection will be there, existing data collection you can identify. You can get it through online or you can go to hospital whenever we need that you can identify. So we have to use your logistic regression. We can go with different statistical features also. So
आपको मुश्किल आ रहा क्या माँ इसमें वो अभी
mainly it
अभी
is
एक मिनट
observational
रुको मैं
study.
शेयर करती हूँ
हम्म।
मैं करता हूँ
Anybody
Hope you got
else?
your answer. Can you just type it well? Is it right? Research study based on best online course using. Is it data mining? Research study based on best online course.
Using data mining technique.
What actually you want to ask?
There are many
Sir, I think it is a research study based on best online course using data mining
No, they
technique.
have given one statement there, but what actually question is?
Yeah. Kovalan sir, kindly unmute yourself and clarify your doubt.
what is the best
Yeah, say loudly, sir. We are unable to hear your voice. I think it seems to be the research title of sir's work.
No, but actually what they are going to do. Sir, what you can do, you can just type there. That will be better. If it is feasible, you can just type.
Okay. Anybody else? Meanwhile, the other participants can also clarify their doubts. Yeah, speaker sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if there is no question, shall we stop here?
Okay.
Yeah. So, dear participants, with this, we'll stop here.
Okay, just a minute, sir. Wait, sir.
Yeah. Vishagar sir. Vishagar sir, kindly clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mic.
So, Kovalan sir, what actually your question is? You are saying that different Coursera and NPTEL Coursera, there, yeah, there are different platforms. Coursera and NPTEL, these are again paid one. So, using that, you are going to learn data mining. So, what is your question? Which are best one? Is it your question? So, which platform is best to learn data mining? Is it the question? Which is best site or website to collect the authenticated information, authorized information to do research on data mining? Okay. So for that, we have to just go through the ChatGPT first. It will give some n number of link, and then we can go with the dataset finding, because just never depend on the ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will give information that is older one, and as it is free version we are using, so it will never give us the current data. So if you're checking for some papers of 25, then ChatGPT will not give the answer for this, because ChatGPT is having data that is already uploaded. So maybe if it is now 25, the data will be of 24. So for this, what you have to do? For what is your question, which is best site or website to collect the authenticated information, authorized information to the research on data mining? For that, first you have to go with some different data mining papers, either IEEE or as Dr. Zia had rightly said about Sci-Hub. So first go through IEEE website, find out the researches based on data mining. Has already given few sites where we can compare our work. If you just give their key point data mining, it will automatically give different papers that are already working on data mining. So from there you go to their references. That is most important thing, because whichever research is there, every research is supported some research, some references. So instead of wasting our time on websites, go to that references point, and whichever references there, just go to references and download it from your Google. Or another thing, each paper will be having mail ID of that particular author. So every researchers will help to other persons. So you just kindly mail them that I want need to work on that. They will send you their different collection of papers. So that will be better. Because in data mining, again, that is data collection, data cleaning, data integration will be there. So for that, we have to visit different sites. But instead of wasting our time in that visiting sites and checking whether data is right or wrong, directly contact to the person who have already worked on the same thing. That will be more better.
Sir, there is one more question, I think.
No, Koval sir is saying, so you have to propose the best online course. So is it your research thing that you are going to research? You have to design one particular app that will give or predict that which is the better one. Okay, now see, what is the problem here? If you go with NPTEL course or Google Coursera courses, or there are different Udemy courses. So each courses will be having different authors. So we cannot directly say that if you check about machine learning course is available on YouTube, that is of free of cost. It is available on Udemy, that is paid one. It is available on Coursera, that is available on again NPTEL and all. So every course is having different instinct and different weightage. So what is needed, instead of suggesting such online courses, what you can suggest, you can just identify, you can just go to the employer, that are company that are getting recruitment. So you can just go to employer and you can ask to HR people, then which course or which certificate is having weightage. That will be better. So for that you have to go with again different sampling. You have to randomly sample the companies that are related to work, that are working in data mining thing. Then you have to go to HR, you have to give questionnaire, and that question should be straightforward, that what are basic requirements that you can do, and depend on that you can go with different opinions of your HR and all, and based on that you can say that these courses will be more effective during the recruitment process. So depend on any subject. See, if you check one biomedical subject, then biomedical signal, there are n number of videos on YouTube. There are different authors. You cannot directly say that this author is good or this author is bad. Again, it is having a problem of respect, that we have to respect each and everyone. Whatever may be the video, we should give respect. We cannot directly claim that this person is not doing well, this person is doing well. Again, depend on our personal ability, person to person. We can understand the course. So it is again depend on the student, whether he will understand the course from NPTEL, whether he will understand the course from YouTube, or he can understand the course either in English or his regional language. God knows. So depend on that. That should be choice of student again. So what you can do if you want to do it on small level, what you can do, you can just go to the employer for feedback. You can just go to the student in your institute. You can just ask the student which course you have did, from where you have did, and you can take feedback of student, some different random sampling you can do, and you can take feedback, and depend on that, you can just conclude that these courses are good and these courses are more simpler one. And again, you have to give which course and which certificate will be having weightage during placement. That is most important thing. And if you need to trusted website, then IEEE is there, Springer link is there, different libraries are there, Science Direct, that are all sites are there, but these all sites are paid one. So no student will work on that. Yes, Vishagar, what you say? Kindly type and send the link of at least 5 sites which have authenticated information on data mining to do research. I said IEEE is there, Science Direct, but you will not have direct access to them. Then again, Kaggle is there. Just make sure whatever things are there, that should be free one for student, because student cannot afford. And wherever you took admission, that college should give the subscription for the same. Hope I have answered your questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Anybody
Okay,
else?
thank you, sir.
Any doubt, any question, any clarification? Dear participants, the session is still open for the discussion. You can clarify your doubts through chat box or unmuting your mics. Professor Ganesh sir, if there is
Yes,
no
sir.
question, shall we stop here?
Okay, okay, sir.
So with this, we'll stop here. So on behalf of Higher Learning Institute and on behalf of all participants, we are thankful to our both speakers, sir, Dr. Mohammad Ziaullah sir and Dr. Ganesh Birajdar sir, for their elaborative
sir.
and informative sessions. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So at the same time, on behalf of both speakers and on behalf of Higher Learning Institute, we are very much thankful to all participants for their active participation and active involvement. With this, we'll stop here. Once again, we'll meet in some other online events. Till then, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, speaker sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, speaker sir, and thank you, participants. Good night, speaker sir. Good night, participants.